Well, thanks so much. We appreciate being here today. I just wonder if everybody loves this space as much as I do. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for welcoming us in. We really appreciate it. They're pretending they're working back there. But actually, they're thankfully so busy that they can't even take time off for a press conference. It's a very good thing. We are here in the home of a place where jobs are being grown. That applies to this building, but it also applies to the city of Minneapolis. These are tough times, but they're also tough times where a lot of people are succeeding and where the city of Minneapolis is not passively standing by and watching the economy drag this city down. We are aggressively moving to create jobs within the city of Minneapolis. I think you've been given some materials here, and I think they say pretty clearly what's been going on here. The work of our community development agency, and we can go into some more detail on this, but the basic story is that in the past year, 764 jobs were created, 484 jobs are pending, and 819 jobs are retained. You can also walk through the 1,400 construction jobs that we have worked on. And one that is very, very close to me is the 2,200 positions for young people in the city of Minneapolis this summer. That's been done through many, many different forces, and we want to highlight those today. The first of those is, of course, what's happening here at Zeus Jones, and I want to introduce Council Vice President Robert Lilligren to give us the beginning of that story. Councilmember Lilligren.
Yeah. Thanks, Mayor, and thanks everyone for having us here today. This is just wonderful. It's a beautiful place, and I'm here on behalf of Councilmember Meg Tuthill, who represents this area, but I'm really speaking on behalf of the city and of my council colleagues as well. When I just want to observe what an exciting day this is, and one of the most pleasing things being on the council is helping grow businesses that are already successful here. And in the last few years, we've had a lot of opportunities to do that, to support businesses like this one. The city supported this business in finding a new site. We've provided 2% financing to help grow this business and establish it here. And Zeus Jones is an incredible success story. It started about 2 years ago with 4 co-founders. Now it has about 20 employees, and they're hiring more. They have more work than they can handle, and they can grow right here in this space. Clients ranging from startups to Fortune 500 companies, and you can see on the wall over there an emphasis on local businesses as well, and has won national recognition in competitions against much larger and more established rival companies. And so it's just a great example of strength and growth within the creative sector here in the city of Minneapolis. I want to acknowledge the work of Venture Bank, who was a great partner in this and with the city of Minneapolis, and also Rob Everard, who is here from Venture Bank, and Rob White, who I'll be introducing in just a second, the co-founding partner of Zeus Jones, was just singing the praises of Venture Bank and what a joy it was to work with them. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce one of the co-founding partners of Zeus Jones here, Rob White.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you all here today. It was actually, I was just saying to the mayor just a few minutes ago that when we got the news that there was going to be a press conference here and a mayoral visit, it allowed us, we only moved here 2 weeks ago, and we still had a lot. If you came here a week ago, you'd have seen a lot of boxes and a lot of unfinished business. But thanks to the work of our local architect, Laurel Euland, and her partner, Eric, back there, as well as all the subcontractors who heard mayor visit, press conference, we suddenly had lights appearing, tables appearing. It was an extraordinary thing. So there were people in here.
I worked in my own house.
I know, you know, 6 o'clock this morning, there were people working to try and get this finished for you. So thank you very much. We're now working in a much nicer space than a week ago. It's been an amazing journey. We started actually just over 3 years ago, and it was 4 partners who are all here today. Christian with the camera over there, Adrian over there, and Eric, who's sitting working over there, and myself. And we had been working at Fallon, big agency in town here, but we felt that there was new ways to do marketing. And so we started a company with a sort of crazy idea that we're going to build modern brands, and that's what we've been doing. And we found a really interesting niche in the market to bring kind of creativity to the entire marketing process. And we've found it to be very successful, which is why we're growing, and we're delighted about that. And the city has been tremendously helpful, as Bob just said. We needed when we moved into the space here, we needed some help with the build out to turn what was a fantastic art gallery owned by Susie Greenberg next door, who celebrates local artists. She had this set up for an art gallery, but we needed collaborative space. And so we used the loan money to basically build it out to really fit with our needs. And in the process, we've we brought in local steel fabricators to make this 48-foot long table. We've salvaged some local pickle boards to put up on their walls. So a lot of the work we put into this has been a combination of like new and old and local and things that have been found and salvaged. So that's what we've been doing, and we're delighted to be here today to welcome you. And I'll pass it back to whoever is next.
Good. Thanks.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks so much. The importance of Zeus Jones includes the fact that they are a key to the creative economy. When you think about growing jobs in a city, so often people think about moving a factory into town. That happens sometimes. Sometimes it happens when a new employer moves into town. That's what we did, for instance, when the 500 jobs in Coloplast were moved into North Minneapolis. But in a creative economy that is focused in so many industries like advertising, marketing, architecture, and other related industries, the real way the creative economy grows is when one company like this gets a new client. And so seeing the growth of Zeus Jones is a tremendous important part of growing the creative economy. Another part of the economy that is incredibly important to us is the green economy. Our Think Green initiative has really been focused on many issues about green growth of jobs. We're doing many things in that area. But one of the things we're doing is in alternative transportation. For instance, I came over here in a plug-in hybrid. I'm going to move to a second generation of that with a company called Rego, which is just down on 36th and Nicollet. Have I got that right, folks? 36th and Nicollet? 39th and Nicollet, I'm sorry, which will be converting my car. But one of the things that is interesting is it isn't just limited to cars. Something I learned is you can build a green motorcycle, and that's what our next speaker is about. It's from Chopper College. Tommy Creel Sr. is here. His son, who actually started the company, is not with us today because he is ill. But their work is involved in building motorcycles from the ground up, and often with alternative fuel, which I think is something that, frankly, is new to me. I have just learned. We've had great partnership on this with Minneapolis Community and Technical College, which helped develop some customized curriculum for them. We connected them then to the Chamber of Commerce's Green Expo, where they were able to put their materials and their motorcycles on display, and are also working on that with our Life Science Alley partners on new alternative energy sources for them. I want to also acknowledge Jess Niebuhr of MCTC, Minneapolis Community Technical College, which has been such a great partner with us on so many things. So now talking about Chopper College, please welcome Tommy Creel Sr.
Very good.
You want to spell that for people too?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's very easily, C-R-E-A-L. And Tommy is my son. I call him Tommy. Someday I guess he'll grow out of that, but I know people still call me Tommy. I sure do appreciate being invited to this. Chopper College is kind of a unique situation. It's a father-son relationship, which, that's that bond that all fathers look for to have with their sons. And and I enjoy it immensely. I don't get to do it every day, but I make as much effort as I can to get up here. We moved from Chicago to Minneapolis 2 years ago, and there's a lot of thought in doing this. When we did that, we made a phone call over to the city of Minneapolis, and we met a gentleman named Andy Carlson. From that relationship, and by the way, we still call him 2 years later, and he takes our calls and he takes our emails, which I think is more impressive than anything. It's not just to get you into the city and leave you. They continue to support, they continue to help us whatever we need. From that one relationship, we got introduced to Emily Stern and another person and another. MCTC was another introduction. They've been our partner for the last 2 years. To kind of get an idea of the network that we've grown through this process, and because of the city, my son actually built the Minnesota Wild giveaway bike that was given away last April, and it was the most popular giveaway, I guess, that Minnesota Wild ever had. And it was a very cool bike, so by the way. I guess you should know that I do have a role with Chopper College, but he's the talent. I couldn't build a bike if he asked me to. But he truly has that talent. The other part is that my other full-time job, or what I do for a living, is I do war crimes. I prosecute war criminals, so I go to Africa. I go to Middle East, Afghanistan, but when I'm in Africa, you meet people, you meet the Gates Foundation, you meet Gavi, you meet George Soros. And the one thing that I've noticed about the city of Minneapolis is when I go over there and we decide that, you know, we need medicine bikes. We need someone to build a green-powered ethanol motorcycle to deliver medicines out to the rural areas, out to the bushes. So we're going to do that. We come back to the city of Minneapolis and I talk to the Bio Business Alliance, Life Science Alley. There's no hesitation. They volunteer. We'd love to help. There's no thought process as to what's in it for me. What's in it for us? It's, Tom, we'd love to help you. What do you need? Or Mankato. It's just, we'll help do the research. So I've grown to love this city, and you know, I'm hoping to make it a home someday. But I just wanted to, you know, just say those two things. The relationship with the city is long-lasting. They never leave you. They help anytime they can. They return calls, emails fast, which, you know, being in Chicago, that doesn't happen. Sorry, Mayor Daley. And second is, thank you. And second is when I talk about going to Liberia and building these ethanol-powered medicine bikes to deliver medicines, they volunteer. I mean, Dale's on me every week. When are we going? When are we going? So I truly love it here, and I thank you, Mayor, for the staff and everybody else.
Great. Well, thank you. That's a great story. We've talked about how we grow businesses from the ground up. We also have had some great successes with some of our larger businesses that grew out of small businesses. A good example is Capella University, which was a very small operation a few years ago. It's now the tenant of the largest building in town, and a couple months ago it just renewed its lease by adding 90,000 square feet of new office space. So it's remarkable to see these small businesses that become big businesses, that become some of our very biggest businesses, and keep growing even in tough times. But one of the hallmarks of the work that we've done in the city of Minneapolis is it's not just about companies and it's not just about numbers. It's been about people. Very few cities are as aggressive and focused on working with workers who lose their job or who haven't worked yet and moving them into the workforce. And one of the things that's important is that we take a term displaced worker and recognize that that's you and I. That's people who are our neighbors. Those are people who often have thought they would not lose a job, and they did, and they need to figure out where they go. And how many of us know lots of people in that situation right now? That's why we've been focused for many years on the issue of putting resources into training and replacement. We have a good story to tell right now about one of those people who was involved with some of our work and who actually came out with a job that was better at the end. Barbara Banks had been a person who lost her job, and we worked with her through our training programs. She got an internship at Best Buy in September of 2010. She then started full-time work at Best Buy she started her internship in September 2009, and then in January of 2010, started as a senior analyst for diversity and inclusion, earning 25% more than when she was laid off. We want to acknowledge Kathy Carney of the Workforce Center, who's Barbara's counselor. Thank you, Kathy. You do great work over there. Thank you very much. We appreciate the great work that's over there. But now to hear the story of how an individual has benefited is Barbara Banks.
Good morning. My name is Barbara Banks, and I live in Northeast Minneapolis. And like Mayor Rybeck just mentioned, I have been working at Best Buy full-time for the last 6 months in diversity and inclusion, which is, I lead diversity programming and training. That's been my field for the last 10 years and my passion, and I quite honestly never thought that my first job out of being unemployed for 16 months would be my dream job. Let me back up. Almost 2 years ago, in September, I was laid off from a small nonprofit that I was working at due to budget cuts. Needless to say, I was devastated. My life changed, and I had no idea what those next 2 years were going to look like. It was about within a month of being laid off that I connected with the dislocated worker program and met Betty, my counselor. And to tell you the truth, I actually wasn't sure what that program would do for me. I came in feeling like I had, a solid education, I have the computer skills, my interviewing skills and resume building skills had always served me well. But I was really surprised because not only did the program provide me financial assistance to be able to seek out some new training to build up my resume, but unexpectedly, Betty was able to meet an emotional need that I didn't even know I had or that I needed. I shut out my family and my friends when I was unemployed for the most part. They couldn't possibly understand what I was going through, and I didn't want to talk to them. I didn't want their sympathy. I didn't want their words of advice. And going into and talking to Betty and building a relationship with her, not only is that I'm the kind of person she works with every day, but she actually shared a story about how she had been laid off at one point, and so she really knew what it was like. And so that was something that was quite unexpected that I realized I really needed, was some of that emotional support too, and being able to make it through the times, not only financially but emotionally. Like I mentioned, the dislocated worker program allowed me to seek out some classes. I ended up, within 4 months of being laid off, I applied for, was accepted, and started classes in a graduate program that I had always been interested in doing but never had the time to do. And that was something that Betty helped to work out and be creative in finding resources to help me fund some of those classes. As a result of that graduate program, I got an internship through networking. Quite honestly, was just meeting with people through LinkedIn, through friends, through family, to find out more about people working in the field. And so through that networking, I met a woman at Best Buy who is now my manager. And after 5 months of interning, they were able to create a new position, which I applied for and was offered. And I've been working full-time there for 6 months. And it's not just a job. I mean, I would have been thankful. After 16 months, you want anything. You've given up on I want this, and these are all my priorities, this is what my dream job would be. I had given up on that, and I was able to, through the program, through being resourceful, sticking with it, and not letting this take me down, I was able to find an amazing job where I feel like I am living out my passion and my dreams. So anyway, I thank you for the opportunity to share that with you all.
I so appreciate you sharing that with us, because one of the things that I've learned in my visits to the Workforce Center is that it's about jobs and numbers and all that, but it's really about people and giving people the skills and confidence to go out there and do that. And one of the great stories, if you go to the Workforce Centers, is you see Employment Ready You, which is really where people get involved in basically a class with peers going through this issue. And the stories I've heard is that sometimes people learn as much from their peers because it's tough to understand what people are going through unless you're going through it too. But it's great, you've got a great resource. You must be good at it, so congratulations. We'd hire you, but it sounds like you have a good job. So thank you for your great work. Another great story is the one I'm about to tell. I have a personal experience with barbers. I get my hair cut at different barbershops all around town. And when you get to talk to people there, you realize being a barber is a really good, wonderful job. Well, we wound up finding out a wonderful person who you're about to hear from who actually had the opportunity to go into that if he got the right training. And so that's why we got involved with Dinsdale Thomas. He was laid off as a laborer for a roofing company where he'd been making $13 an hour, and his dream was to become a barber just like his father. His father sadly had died of a heart attack behind his barber chair. And the city doesn't normally get involved with barber school, but because he inherited all of his father's tools, we made an exception for that. He passed all the state exams and is now working for full-time. Remember, he was making $13 an hour before. He's now making $34 an hour on many days in his own shop, which I'm going to come over and get my hair cut at. So Dinsdale Thomas, thanks.
Good afternoon. I wrote a letter today. My name is Dinsdale Thomas. I'm here today to share my story with the Dislocated program. My last employment was at Single Ply Roofing System. My position, like he said, was a laborer slash auto welder slash whatever needed to be done. You know, while battling the sun and the foreman and the crew city to city, ripping off, tearing off roofs and building it back up and weatherproofing it. About a year of doing that, and physically demanding and mentally challenging work, it felt like that's everything I was gonna do, you know? It felt like I had to escape. The economy went through some rough stuff, and the company felt it. So I went on unemployment. While on unemployment, the research I did took me to Hired and on the steps of Dislocated programs. Now, going to the Dislocated program made me think about different options, but I started thinking about barbering too. Like, that was the only thing that I had a passion for and I really wanted to do. Growing up, I always wanted to be a barber like my father, but like the lady said, I never had the time or the money, and so I gave it up and have it like a side job for my friends that come over, get lined up, touched up. Coming in, that dream almost faded away because my counselor tried to show me different obstacles and try to get me into something different. I was pretty much set on what I wanted to do though. You know? It was an opportunity to change the trade, so I was gonna go for it, especially it was my dream. Through the help of the Dislocated program, I was able to go to barbering school, pass the state exam, and I'm working full-time at the All Nations Barbershop and living out my dream. And hopefully, I'd like to open a barbershop for myself. You know?
Do you have an opening next week? I'm coming in before my budget speech. Okay, yeah, Robert's telling me so I'm in next week. Okay, great. Well, we want to open it up for questions, but just to finally put the context on it, Minneapolis is one of very few, possibly the only big city in the United States where unemployment in the city most months is below the suburbs and the state. That is a remarkable achievement, and it's not an accident. It's because we are working hard to put people to work. 4,500 more people are working in Minneapolis than they were a year ago. More people are also looking for work, which is an important point because it shows that those who have given up are back in the workforce and working hard on that. We are facing tough budget issues. We have to make choices in the city. I'm, as I mentioned, about to deliver a budget, but the budget will continue to fund the programs we have, and our team will continue to innovate because I think some of the best work we're doing is getting people to work. Okay, good. So why don't I just open up any questions or comments? Good. Well, with that, we will thank you guys for being here, and thank you for being here. Thanks.